Previously on Rome, the rise and fall of an empire. After a decade of barbarian terror, the empire's brilliant general Marius grabs the reins of power, turning Rome's volunteer militia into the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. Now, the lust for power reaches a fever pitch as three men vie for absolute supremacy in the Roman Republic. Only one will emerge the victor, and to him go the spoils, honor, riches, and the name that will echo through history as the archetype of ruthless ambition and tyranny, Julius Caesar. It is the middle of the 1st century BC, and democracy is breaking down in the Roman Republic. It is a time of riots and violent political upheaval.
People saw blood and death every day. Murder was as important as the ballot box. Violence was not supposed to be the way that Romans decided the big political questions that set the course for the country. But violence breeds violence. And Rome had descended almost into a state of anarchy by Caesar's time.
This is the troubled world in which young Julius Caesar grows up. By the age of 16, his father has died, and Caesar knows his life will be a struggle.
Julius Caesar inherited that most distinguished family history a Roman could have. But by the time Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC, his family wasn't as rich and wasn't as powerful as legend said it ought to be. Julius Caesar wanted to restore to his family the glory and the leadership position that his family story said his ancestors had had.
While still a teenager and sailing to study on the Isle of Rhodes, Caesar is kidnapped for ransom by notorious pirates.
These were the biggest pirates and slave traders in the Mediterranean. So the pirates captured Caesar and held him ransom. It took a long time to raise the money, so Caesar spent a great deal of time in the pirates' camp.
Holding his own against these murderers and thieves, young Caesar proves to be more than his captors bargained for.
Caesar isn't your ordinary Roman. He's not going to be terrified. Pirates are the great threat to aristocratic society. So what Caesar is showing is that even when he's encountered this greatest of threats, he's risen above it.
In the end, Caesar wins his freedom, and the pirates are brought to Roman justice, crucified, and left for the carrion birds. Caesar matures, and by 65 BC, now an experienced soldier in his 30s, he is sent to the Roman province of Hispania to suppress a dangerous band of rebels. It is here that he shows the dynamic leadership and charisma that would mark his later life.
Caesar was able to interact with people from every level of society. He could be friendly with his ordinary soldiers because he showed that he had as much courage and as much guts and as much stamina as they did.
And it is here as well that Caesar's military reputation begins to build.
If you're a member of the elite who shows courage and clear-headedness and ability on the field of battle, that's going to translate into some political clout in Rome.
Returning to Rome, Caesar enters politics, using his soaring popularity in an attempt to win the election for the office of consul. To be consul is to hold Rome's most prestigious position, and comes not only with the lucrative governorship of an entire Roman province, but the military command of the legions stationed there. Caesar is a natural politician.
Julius Caesar was brilliant in his ability to relate to people, to make them like him. But he was also one of the greatest writers and one of the greatest public speakers Julius Caesar could make you do what he thought you should do by giving you a speech.
Among his admirers is Marcus Brutus, the child of his favorite mistress. He quickly becomes Caesar's loyal protege. Brutus is inspired by his mentor's populist campaign and will one day move into politics himself. Caesar's campaign for the office of consul wins him many supporters, but his appeal to the commoners of Rome and his campaign for change lose him the support of the conservative aristocrats.
He sets himself up quite deliberately as a person who will try to change the system of government. And he's a real threat to conservatives because Caesar appears as somebody who stands for something new. He stands out in every way as their antithesis, and there's very little they can do about it.
Still, even if Caesar is elected consul in Rome, the conservative senators can deny him the one thing he wants and needs the most: the governorship of the profitable province of Gaul.
Caesar needed money badly. He was so far in debt that he had literally to run away from his creditors.
All of Caesar's financial difficulties will be over if the Senate will grant him his wish for the province of Gaul.
For Caesar, it was absolutely crucial to get Gaul assigned to him by the Senate as his province. If Caesar was successful in Gaul, he could make a lot of money from the enemies that he captured and sold into slavery and from the booty that he took.
It is essential that Caesar win the election and the governorship of Gaul. He develops a plan to ensure this happens. In the brutal arena of Roman politics, one should never fight alone. Caesar arranges a meeting with the two most powerful men in the Republic. One, an old friend, Crassus, the richest man in Rome. He funds all of Caesar's political campaigns. The other is the celebrated general Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, better known as Pompey the Great. Cunning as a gladiator in the arena, Caesar convinces Crassus and Pompey to work with him to win the election and control the Senate.
Caesar really was the third man. He wasn't as distinguished as Pompey militarily, and he certainly wasn't as rich as Crassus. But Caesar had that glow, that aura, that charisma that nobody else had.
This extraordinary alliance becomes known as the Triumvirate.
The triumvirate is so powerful that they gain control of the political apparatus. They're able to almost, in a sense, bestow offices at will. And of course, this is going to put the bit in the bridle on the political freedom of the aristocracy, which it greatly cherished.
To seal the deal, Caesar proposes a marriage contract between his daughter Julia and Pompey.
Marriages, especially among Roman aristocrats, are not so much love matches between a husband and a wife. It's more as if one family is marrying another family. And the women are simply tokens of the exchange.
With their newly combined political muscle, Crassus and Pompey manipulate the system. Caesar wins the election for consul, and the two of them gain immense power for tax breaks and land grants. And then for Caesar, who has arranged it all, they confer a magnificent assignment. A 5-year term as the governor of not one, but 2 provinces in Gaul, and beyond them, a whole continent to conquer. Caesar heads north in search of glory and gold. At the same time, on a collision course with Caesar's army, a desperate and hungry horde of barbarians move south, preparing to invade Roman territory. Known as the Helvetii, they are 300,000 strong, seeking new lands to settle, by force if necessary.
For reasons that are hard to know, maybe environmental, probably because of wars, the northern barbarians were moving south, lock, stock, and barrel, with men, women, and children.
This Caesar will not allow. Along the banks of the Rhone River, the Romans throw up a barrier, a wall, 18 miles long. The Helvetians cannot pass. They must go instead through the lands of the Aedui tribe beyond the imperial border. But this poses a problem. Caesar has no authority to lead his army out of Roman territory. To collect the booty, slaves, and new territory he craves, he must convince the Senate that he has no choice.
He had to construct a threat of monumental proportions, and it so happened that the Helvetians managed to fill this role for him.
Sending back reports of this dangerous group of savages on the march, Caesar pursues them, thinking them an easy target. He is quickly proven wrong.